The border sector had not triggered a red alert in over 3 centuries, which was why Captain Zarek almost ignored the warning the first time it flashed across her command display. Then it flashed again. Then every sensor on the patrol cruiser's silent orbit recalibrated at once. Automatically. That never happened. "Command deck! Confirm anomaly!" she ordered calmly, though both her throat ridges had tightened. Her sensor officer rotated his upper eye stalks toward her. "Captain, the system is reporting a mass object entering the sector at impossible velocity." "Define impossible." "Faster than our drive limit. Faster than our theoretical drive limit." Silence settled across the bridge. Space did not allow that. Physics did not allow that. "Run it again," she said. "We did. 3 times." The contact marker burned red on the tactical sphere. Still hours away, yet closing like a missile. Border Patrol was supposed to be boring duty. Dust clouds, old satellites, navigation beacons, maybe smugglers if you were lucky. Not this. "Size estimate?" she asked. "Large," the officer replied. "That is not a measurement." "Then here is one, larger than a capital dread carrier." Now the room actually reacted. Even the navigation tech looked up. "Transmit to Sector Command," Zarek ordered. "Priority threat classification, unknown vessel, extreme velocity, non-matching drive signature." "Sent." She leaned closer to projection. The ship outline kept changing as scans refined. Blocky, angular, layered plating, external weapon housings. It looked wrong, like something built for survival, not elegance, like something that expected to be hit and keep moving. At Sector Fortress K-9, Grand Marshal Verex did not blink often. He blinked twice when he saw the patrol feed. Magnify. The projection expanded, the unknown vessel rotating slowly as sensor returns accumulated. "It looks primitive," one aide said. Verex shook his head. "Primitive designs do not break speed laws." Energy reading scrolled beside the image. His science chief went pale. "Marshal, if those outputs are accurate, that reactor should be vaporizing itself." "Yet it isn't," Verex said quietly, which was worse. Back aboard silent orbit, Zarek opened a wideband hail. "Unknown vessel. You are approaching regulated sovereign space. Identify yourself and reduce velocity." No answer. The ship kept coming. No evasive jitter. No stealth masking. No fear. Just a straight line approach. "Try emergency frequencies," she ordered. Already did. Nothing. Then, finally, a reply. The voice was unlike any species in Confederated charts. Warm. Calm. Certain. "This is Captain Elena Ward of the Human Colonial Navy vessel Resolute. We are responding to your distress call." The bridge froze. Zarek frowned. "We issued no distress call. You are in restricted territory." "Your beacon matched emergency format," the human replied. "We are here to assist." Assist? They were violating borders at illegal speed and offering help. "You will haul for inspection," Zarek said sharply. "Negative," the human captain answered. "Not hostile. Simply factual. We do not halt while distress source is unresolved." Her tactical officer whispered. "They're not even raising weapons." Marshal Verex listened to the exchange from command. "Confidence level?" he asked intelligence. "Either reckless or absolute," came the reply. "Prepare interception grid," he ordered. "How many ships, sir?" "Enough to be understood. 12 warships deployed. Top tier. Shield heavy. Formation perfect. A wall of state power across the intruder's path. Every commander expected one of 2 outcomes. The unknown ship would slow or flee. It did neither. "It's not changing course," Zarek whispered. "Impact in 9 minutes." Weapon locks spread across the alien hull. Still, no shield flare detected. No defense activation. Tactical reported. "That's impossible." Confirmed. Then the human ship did something no captain present had ever seen. It adjusted vector, slightly, and flew directly through formation gap between the lead destroyers. Not charging, not dodging, gliding, like a mountain drifting between leaves. No collision, no shield contact, Just precision piloting beyond reason. Open channel activated. A new voice, older, controlled. I am Grand Marshal Verex. You will stop and prepare to be boarded. Pause. Then Captain Ward replied, I am willing to talk, Marshal. You are welcome aboard my ship. Not surrender. Invitation. Bridge crews across 12 ships stared in disbelief. Then long-range sensors triggered again. New contacts. Multiple. Huge. Approaching fast. Marshal, intelligence said carefully, 3 more vessels matching the first ship's mass signature. Escort, someone whispered. Zarek felt it then. Not fear. Scale shock. If the first ship needed escorts, what did their warships look like? Captain Ward transmitted again, polite as before. My support group has arrived. We can continue discussions safely aboard Resolute. Safely. The word hit differently now. Marshal Verex made the decision that history would later mark as pivotal. Prepare diplomatic shuttle, he said. His aide stared. Sir, that vessel could destroy us. Yes, Verex replied. And yet it didn't. As the shuttle launched, sensor teams continued scanning the human vessel. Armor thickness exceeded fortress plating. Heat sinks the size of city blocks. Projectile weapon rails, not energy emitters, rail systems. Kinetic warfare, ancient concept, executed at impossible scale. Zarek watched the massive ship rotate slowly against the starfield. No panic signals, no combat chatter, no stress spikes, just routine operations. Like this was normal for them. She whispered the thought none of them wanted to say out loud. This is not an invasion ship. Her tactical officer answered, No, this is a patrol ship. And that realization was more frightening than anything else. Grand Marshal Verex had boarded hostile ships before. Pirate carriers, rogue states, AI raiders. None of them had welcomed him with open hangar doors and landing lights. The human battlecruiser did. The shuttle drifted into a bay so large it could have housed a small fleet by itself. Dock crews in dark uniforms guided the craft with calm hand signals. No visible fear, no defensive posture. They are not acting like a surrounded force, Verex muttered. They are acting like hosts, his aide replied. That was worse. Captain Elena Ward stood waiting when the hatch opened. No armor, no weapon drawn, no guard wall in front of her, just a uniform and confidence. Marshal Verex, she said, extending a hand in human greeting style. Welcome aboard Resolute. He studied her carefully. Smaller than most command species. No visible natural weapons. No threat display. And yet, command presence radiated from her like gravity. You ignored lawful border commands, he said. You broadcast what matched our emergency protocol, she answered evenly. We respond to emergencies. That was a navigation beacon. Then your beacon format is dangerous, she said calmly. Someone will die because of that someday. Direct, not apologetic, not hostile, certain. On the Confederate flagship outside, tension snapped. Reinforcement battle groups arrived, weapons hot, commanders angry, political pressure rising by the second. 48 ships now surrounded 4 human vessels. Marshal is aboard target, tactical reported. Good, Admiral Heskin said. Then we end this before it becomes an invasion. Weapon capacitors charged. Target grids filled. Aboard Resolute. Commander Torres looked up from his board. Captain, their outer groups are powering main batteries. Ward didn't turn. Expected. Orders. Defensive posture only. No preemptive fire? None. Torres smiled faintly. Copy that. Verex noticed the calm. You are about to be attacked, he said. Yes, Ward replied. And you are not preparing to strike first. No. Why? Because misunderstanding is not aggression, she answered. We don't start wars over confusion. The first volley lit the stars. Confederate beams, lances of compressed energy, slammed into the nearest human escort. Bridge crews waited for explosion. Instead, the beams bent, curved, bled into a shimmering distortion layer hugging the human hull. No flare, no overload, just absorption. Confederate command channels erupted. Shield type unknown. Energy sink saturation, not rising. Where is the bleed all going? Second volley. Missile spread. Direct hits. No damage. Not even maneuvering. The human ship didn't dodge. It simply endured. Captain, Torres said quietly, we're past their fear threshold. Ward nodded. Disable weapons. Nothing else. Human ships return fire. Not beams. Not missiles. Metal. Hypervelocity kinetic slugs. Needle thin. Nearly invisible. Fired in precise sequences. They didn't hit hull centers. They hit weapon mouths. Emitter throats. Missile doors. Fire control nodes. One by one, Confederate guns died. No reactor breaches. No life support hits. No bridge strikes. Only weapons. On 3 separate ships, tactical officers shouted the same sentence. They turned our fleet off. Marshal Variks stared at the display floating in the human command room. That is impossible targeting resolution, he said. Torres answered casually. It's standard. Standard for what? Not killing people who are wrong. The engagement lasted 13 minutes. Not because humans needed that long, because they paced it ship by ship. Ensuring no cascading failures triggered catastrophic damage. When the last Confederate gun fell silent, space became quiet again. 48 ships drifted, alive, disarmed. Ward opened a channel. Confederate fleet, your crews are safe. Your propulsion and life support remain intact. We recommend powering down combat systems before secondary faults develop. No taunting. No victory speech. Maintenance advice. Admiral Heskin slammed his console. We lost without losses, he growled. No, his sensor chief said softly. We were spared. Variks turned slowly toward Ward. You could have destroyed us. Yes. Why didn't you? Because you were protecting your territory, she said. That's not a crime. He searched her face for deception. Found none. Your weapons ignored our shields. Different interaction model. Your drives break speed law. Different transit geometry. Your ships ignored fleet doctrine. Different doctrine. Every answer simple. Every answer devastating. Torres leaned toward Ward. Captain, additional patrol groups entering outer shell. How many? 2 groups now. 1 heavy group behind them. Variks did the math instantly. How many ships is that? 14, Torres said. Plus us. And this is still not a war fleet? No, Ward said. This is roadside assistance. He almost believed she was joking. Almost. Damage control requests began arriving from Confederate ships. Human engineering teams volunteered help before being asked. Compatibility adapters printed. Repair drones launched. They fixed the weapons they had just destroyed. That detail would later change diplomatic history. Dr. Sorrell, Confederate science lead, whispered while watching human repair craft work. They fight like predators and clean up like medics. Variks answered quietly. Yes. That combination wins galaxies. Final status report came in. Confederate casualties, 0. Human casualties, 0. Material losses, reversible. Strategic outcome, irreversible. Power balance understood. Ward offered Variks a drink. Human custom. He accepted. Confederate custom broken. Marshal, she said gently, shall we call your government together now, before more fleets arrive on both sides? He exhaled slowly. Yes. Good, she said, because if your reinforcements keep coming, my reinforcements will assume I need them. He believed her. That was the moment fear turned into caution. Instead of war. Outside, human ships resumed patrol patterns, as if nothing had happened, because for them, nothing extraordinary had. The emergency council chamber had not been filled to capacity in over 200 years. Now every seat was occupied. Military command, science authority, intelligence corps, civil governance, all staring at the same projection. 48 Confederate warships, drifting, intact, disarmed, disabled in minutes, without casualties, without boarding, without pursuit, without effort. Supreme Chancellor Halvern spoke first. Confirm again, he said quietly. No sense of corruption. Confirmed, replied Central Analysis. Cross-verified across 9 platforms. General Strave leaned forward. They neutralized an entire defense cluster without breaching a single hull. That is correct. That is not warfare, he said. The intelligence director answered. That is control. Dr. Selrick, chief science interpreter, activated a second projection. Human weapon telemetry. Impact dots mapped across Confederate ships. Thousands of shots. Everyone placed on a non-fatal system. No randomness, she said. No spray. No overkill. This was surgical suppression at fleet scale. Meaning, the Chancellor asked, meaning they could have killed everyone, and chose not to. Silence followed, heavier than panic. Intercept teams had finally cracked portions of human tactical chatter. Not encryption failure, pattern inference. What they heard unsettled the room even more. Disable only. No crew loss. Precision first. They're scared, not hostile. The playback ended. General Stray frowned. They were emotionally modeling us during combat. Yes, Selrick said. In real time. Admiral Varex appeared via live link from a human flagship. The room leaned forward unconsciously. Marshal, Halvern said, state your assessment. Varex did not hesitate. They are not invaders. Murmurs. They are not scouts. More murmurs. They are not even frontline forces. Now the room reacted. Explain, the Chancellor demanded. The ship we engage is classified by them as an outdated patrol cruiser. Shock registered physically across multiple species. Selrick pulled new data into view. Organizational fragments recovered from human logistics chatter. Partial structure confirmed, she said. Human patrol command alone exceeds our entire naval capacity. How much exceeds? Asked Finance Director Orrin. Selrick answered carefully. Minimum, 50 to 1. The chamber erupted. Impossible. Fabricated. Deception layer. Selrick raised a hand. We validated by supply routing patterns, not claims. Logistics did not lie. Fuel, repair, crew rotation, manufacturing trails. Scale could be measured indirectly, and it was enormous. Continue, the Chancellor said quietly. Selrick zoomed out the star map. Our Confederation controls 300 systems. Projections shifted. Human patrol zones alone span thousands. Estimated human-governed or protected territory. She finished. Multiple spiral arms. Someone whispered, we are a village. Military doctrine collapsed in that moment. Every deterrence model assumed parity range. This was not parity. This was weather versus wall. Intelligence Director Rel added the next layer. Cultural intercepts analyzed. Images filled the chamber. Human worlds. Cities under heavy gravity. Storm oceans. Predator megafauna. Extreme climates. They evolved here, Rel said. Several council members recoiled. That biosphere is classified death grade. Yes. They became dominant there? Yes. Conclusion required no commentary. Conflict history? General Strave asked. Rel hesitated. Extensive. How extensive? Continuous multi-century external border conflict. With whom? Unknown. Data redacted. But references repeat. Perimeter defense, containment zones, incursion response. They are at war, Strave said. No, Rel corrected. They are on watch. That distinction mattered. Back aboard the human ship, Dr. Sorrell, Confederate science liaison, observed human operations firsthand. No battle celebration. No victory ritual. Repair crews. Medical checks. Routine logs. She recorded a note. They do not emotionally spike after combat success. Engagement appears procedural, not glorious. Predator cultures usually celebrated victory. Humans normalized it. That frightened her more. Human internal traffic mentioned something else. Fleet classifications. Excelsior class, obsolete. Sovereign class, current line. Constitution class, heavy response. She compared size metrics. If true, they had not even seen a real human warship yet. She stopped that line of thought voluntarily. Back in council, the political debate shifted tone. From retaliation survival alignment, General Strave still resisted. If they are that powerful, they are a threat by definition. Chancellor Halvern answered, gravity is also a threat by definition. We still stand on planets. Economic Director Oren asked the practical question, what do they want? Admiral Varex answered from the screen, nothing. No one with that power wants nothing. They want to help and settle unclaimed hostile systems we avoid. Why? Ward's earlier words echoed from transcript, because someone should stand where danger lives. The chamber did not know how to process that motive. Intelligence added final psychological assessment. Human response pattern under threat. Advance, shield repair, explain. Not conquer, not punish, not dominate. Advance, protect, restore, clarify. New category required. Chancellor Halvern stood. Decision moment. We will not escalate, he said. Half the chamber relaxed. Half tensed. We will not submit, he continued. Balance restored. We will engage diplomatically, with full transparency. Unanimous vote required. It passed. Barely. History often does. Private transmission open to Captain Ward. Captain, Halvern said, we request formal first contact under peaceful terms. Ward smiled slightly. Good, she replied. We were hoping you'd say that before our bigger ships got here. He believed her. That belief prevented a war. After the session ended, Selric remained staring at the star map. Tiny Confederate space. Vast human patrol web. She whispered conclusion. No model predicted. We were never alone. Pause. Then the deeper truth. We were never unprotected. The diplomatic chamber aboard the human cruiser, Resolute, did not look like a war room. That disturbed Chancellor Halvern more than weapons would have. Soft lighting. Living plants. Gravity balance seating for multiple body types. Transparent wall panels showing stars drifting by in silence. And on one wall, children's drawings. Different species. Different worlds. Same theme. Ships and suns and hands reaching toward each other. Your warship has a nursery gallery, Halvern said quietly. Captain Elena Ward followed his gaze. Crew families rotate through long patrols, she replied. Reminds us what we're protecting. Not conquering. Protecting. That word kept returning. No guard stood behind her. No visible weapons. No intimidation theater. Which meant the confidence was structural, not staged. Admiral Varex, Dr. Selric, and two council observers sat with Halvern. Ward sat alone across from them. Balance, intentional. Captain, Halvern began, we need direct answers now, without protocol filters. You'll get them, Ward said. Why did you enter sovereign space at combat speed? Because your beacon matched our distress architecture. It was navigation. Your navigation beacon is screaming for help in 3 human languages, she said calmly. You may want to fix that. Selric checked her pad and went still. Signal structure overlap. Confirmed. Embarrassing truth beats conspiracy every time. Halvern pressed on. Why bring warships to answer distress call? Ward did not soften the answer. Because most distress calls are traps. Silence, she continued, or occur inside danger zones, or during active attacks, or near unknown actors. Sending weak rescue forces gets them killed. So you send overwhelming force instead. Yes, that looks like invasion. To people who've never needed rescue under fire, she said gently. Varex leaned forward. Captain, during the engagement, you could have destroyed our fleet. Yes. Why didn't you cripple engines and take control? Because disabled people can still talk, she said. Dead people can't. Direct, moral, tactical, all at once. Selric asked a science question. Your weapons bypass our shields. They didn't bypass, they disagreed. Ward replied. That is not a scientific sentence. Torres, standing quietly at the side console, added, different interaction model. Your shields stop energy transfer. We use momentum transfer. Projectile weapons. Very fast projectiles. Torres smiled. Ancient idea. Perfected execution. Halvern changed direction. Our intelligence indicates your patrol force is small by your standards. Ward nodded. Yes. How small? Local, she said. That is not a number. Roughly 2% of regional readiness. Observers stopped writing. And your total forces? Ward studied their faces, measuring readiness for truth. Large enough, she said carefully, to make sure most people never need to know the number. Not secrecy, mercy. Varric asked a question none of them wanted to. What are you defending against? Ward's expression shifted. Not fear, memory. Hunters, she said. Assimilators. Devourers. Machine swarms. A few things we still don't understand. The room temperature seemed to drop. And you fight them? We contain them, she corrected. War's failure. Containment is success. Doctrine difference again. Selric pulled up the galactic map Ward had shown earlier. Red zones. Defense rings. Confederate space. A small blue pocket behind natural stellar barriers. You've been shielding this region, she said softly. Yes. For how long? Longer than your Confederation has had faster-than-light drive. Shock landed quietly this time. Halvern asked the hardest question. Why? Ward answered without delay. Because you were there. That is not sufficient motive for empires. We're not an empire, she said. What are you? Neighbors with a big fence and a longer watch shift. The trust test came unexpectedly. Halvern slid a data crystal across the table. Inside, Confederate defense codes. Live. Active. Ward did not touch it. Torres did not scan it. No one moved. That is your tactical network key, Ward said. Yes. You're offering vulnerability. Yes. Why? To see if you take it. Ward pushed it back. We don't need it, she said. And trust offered is more valuable unbroken. That moment rewrote the room. Torres received a quiet update in his earpiece. He muted it. Ward noticed. Say it, she said. Outer patrol flagged hostile probe near your frontier, he reported. Halvern stiffened. Ward opened a side display, shared it with them. Small, she said. Already handled. Handled how? Varric asked. Redirected and erased. No drama. Just maintenance. Captain, Halvern said slowly, what happens if a real hostile force reaches our space? Ward met his eyes. They meet us first. Not a promise. A standing condition. Do you want territory? The Chancellor asked. No. Resources. We have enough. Political control? She almost laughed. We can barely control ourselves. Unexpected humor. Tension broke. What do you want, then? Permission, Ward said, to place civilian colonies in 3 of your uninhabited hostile systems. Shock again, different kind. Those systems are lethal, Selric said. For you? Ward agreed. For us, manageable. In exchange? Shared non-military tech. Medical. Infrastructure. Defense coverage. No tribute. No subjugation. Partnership offer. Halvern studied her a long time. You are very dangerous people, he said finally. Ward nodded. Yes. And very careful. We try to be. Meeting ended without victory, without surrender, without fear. Only recalibration. As they stood to leave, Halvern asked one last question. Captain, if we had kept fighting, what would you have done? Ward answered gently. Kept not killing you until you stopped. Outside the viewport, human ships continued their patrol loops. Steady, unclickable, like gravity. History would later mark this meeting as the moment the war ended, before it began. Dr. Selric did not sleep, not after gaining access to the Human Historical Archive. The data transfer alone had taken 6 hours, compressed, filtered, translated, cultural exchange package. Captain Ward had called it. Selric called it something else. Perspective shock. Her lab aboard Command Station Kepler. 9 dimmed automatically as the archive opened. Timeline first. Human civilization recorded expanding, fracturing, rebuilding, repeating, conflict markers everywhere. Too many. She checked the filter. It was already minimized. Open major conflict index, she told the system. The screen filled. Global wars, regional wars, resource wars, ideology wars, civil wars. Not dozens, hundreds, she whispered. How are they still alive? Admiral Varix entered halfway through the scroll. I heard you requested priority power routing. Selric didn't look away. You need to see this. He did, and sat down without meaning to. They fought each other this much, he said slowly. And still unified? Repeatedly, she answered, after devastation. Casualty numbers appeared. Millions, tens of millions, in single conflicts. Confederate history's worst war had killed 12,000. Humans lost that in hours and kept functioning. Zoom technology correlation, Selric ordered. Overlay engaged. Major innovation spikes align with war periods. Flight war acceleration. Medicine battlefield trauma response. Computing code-breaking warfare. Energy weapons first, power later. Spaceflight missile research origin. Varix stared. They built progress from fear. Yes, and survival pressure. She opened medical history next. Field surgery evolution. Portable trauma kits. Rapid blood replacement. Regenerative scaffolds. Most of their medical breakthroughs, Selric said, came from trying to keep wounded soldiers alive. Varix exhaled slowly. They learned healing by refusing to accept death. Cultural archive opened automatically afterward. Music, art, literature. The emotional range was violent and beautiful. War poems next to lullabies. Battle hymns next to reconciliation songs. Memorial sculptures next to playground designs. They metabolized suffering, Selric whispered. How? By turning it into meaning. She played a recovered human orchestral piece written after a planetary war. The room filled with rising sound, grief transforming into triumph. Varix's throat tightened unexpectedly. This species feels too much, he said. Yes, that is dangerous. Yes, that is powerful. Also yes, Intelligence Director Rel joined the session remotely. You've reached the contradiction layer, she observed. Explain, Varix said. Humans are simultaneously the most violent and most self-restraining species we've recorded. That is not logical. It is documented. Examples loaded. Battle ceasefires to evacuate civilians. Enemies treating enemy wounded. Post-war reconstruction of defeated nations, funded by victors. You help enemies recover? Varix asked. Selric highlighted a doctrine quote. If you leave them broken, you guarantee the next war. Strategic compassion. Weaponized mercy. New concept. Children's cultural training data followed. Conflict ethics taught early. Rules of war. Civilian protection law. Chain of command refusal rights for unlawful orders. They train moral override, Selric said, against their own authority structures. Varix blinked. That is rebellion training. That is atrocity prevention, Rel corrected. They opened psychological doctrine. Term repeated everywhere. Restraint under force. Not weakness. Discipline. Humans fear what they could become, and built systems to prevent it. Selric switched to environmental origin data. Human homeworld profile filled the screen. Gravity, high. Weather, violent. Predator class, extreme. Disease load, heavy. Climate variability, severe. This planet tries to kill them daily, Varix said. Yes, and they called a home. Predator database images loaded. Teeth longer than hands. Claws like blades. Mass greater than transports. Humans hunted these? Yes. With what? Persistence. She displayed pursuit hunting theory. Humans did not outrun prey. They outlasted it. They win by not stopping, Varix murmured. Pattern recognition triggered. Same battlefield behavior. Archive flagged a phrase frequency anomaly. Never leave anyone behind. Military, civilian, disaster response, space rescue. Repeated across centuries. That explains their boarding behavior, Varix said. And their casualty risk tolerance, Selric added. Rel loaded intercepted enemy combat reports from recent engagements. Human description tags. Relentless. Returns for wounded. Advances under loss. Morale does not collapse. Fear markers highest when humans were rescuing, not attacking. Unexpected. Selric leaned back. I expected monsters. What did you find? Varix asked. Monsters. She said. Pause. Who built cages for themselves. Final archive segment opened automatically. Philosophy cluster. Thousands of years of self-questioning. What is right? What is just? When is force allowed? When must it stop? No other species documented moral struggle this extensively. They fight themselves, Varric said. Yes. Every generation. Transmission ping from Captain Ward. Checking in, she said lightly. You've reached the scary parts yet? Selric answered honestly. Yes. Ward smiled softly. Keep going. The hopeful parts are after that. When the call ended, Varix asked, Doctor, final assessment? Selric looked at the war graphs, the art, the medical miracles, the restraint doctrines, the self-limit systems. Humans are dangerous, she said. He waited. They're also trying very hard not to be. Outside the station viewport, human patrol lights moved in slow arcs across the dark, not conquering, watching, guarding. Selric recorded the line that would enter Confederate academic history. Humanity is not safe because it is gentle. Humanity is safe because it chooses not to be cruel. The Grand Confederate Council had only used full session authority 3 times in recorded history. Founding, unification, Civil War ceasefire. Today would be the 4th. Every representative pillar was lit, every system present, every vote binding. Chancellor Halvern stood at the center platform beneath the rotating star map, where human patrol markers now glowed like a second constellation across the frontier. We meet, he began, not to debate theory, but survival alignment. No ceremonial language, no political poetry, truth tone only. General Strave spoke first, opposition lead. They are too powerful, he said flatly. Power imbalance guarantees future control, regardless of promises. Support signals pulsed across several pillars. Fear faction. Predictable. Admiral Varix followed, measured, controlled. They had the opportunity to destroy our entire fleet, he said. They chose not to. Today, Strave snapped. Intent changes. Capability usually doesn't, Varix replied quietly. And restraint under zero risk is meaningful data. Military logic. Hard to dismiss. Dr. Selric presented the historical analysis. Human conflict history. Human restraint doctrine. Human self-limiting law. Human recovery patterns. They are not peaceful, she concluded. Murmurs rose. She raised a hand. They are controlled. Silence replaced noise. Intelligence Director Rel added the threat layer. External hostile species confirmed beyond our perimeter, she said. Red zones appeared again on the map. Devourer swarms. Assimilator clusters. Machine bloom regions. Without human containment, she finished. Probability of contact within 2 centuries. High. Strave countered immediately. Or human fabrication to justify expansion. Rel shook her head. Independent sensor ghosts confirm non-human hostile signatures at the perimeter edge. Truth rarely arrives politely. Economic Director Oren presented projections. With Alliance, tech uplift, defense coverage, safe colony expansion. Projections shifted. Without Alliance, military escalation spiral we cannot win. No emotional framing. Only math. Math voted before politics did. Then came the last resistance argument. Executor Tharn, neutrality bloc leader, rose. They normalize armed civilians, he said. They accept casualty ratios we consider extreme. True, they bring warship-scale force to rescue calls. Also true, he paused, that culture is incompatible with ours. The chamber held its breath. Chancellor Halvern answered him directly. So is fire, he said. So is flight. So is faster than light travel. Tharn did not smile, but he did not sit down either. Progress analogy, effective strike. Live transmission open at council request to Captain Ward. She appeared without ceremony. Bridge background. Work in progress behind her. Not staged. Not symbolic. Working. Captain, Halvern said. Final question before vote. Go ahead. If we refuse alliance, what happens? Ward answered without hesitation. We continue perimeter defense, she said. You remain protected. Shock wave across the chamber. No punishment? Strave demanded. No. No pressure? No. No retaliation for fleet engagement? No. Why? Ward shrugged slightly. You were scared. Disarming honesty. Again. Strave pushed harder. And if we attack again? We defend again, she said. Same way. Without killing? If possible, yes. That answer changed 3 undecided votes instantly. Executor Tharn asked the question that mattered most. Why help those who reject you? Ward thought, not strategically, personally, because someday they might not. Moral time horizon. Rare trait. Transmission closed. Debate window ended. Vote window opened. Each pillar displayed 2 lights. War path. Containment, militarize, resist. Alliance path. Cooperate, integrate, co-defend. Votes began registering. Slowly. Painfully. Historically. Fear block. Split. Military block. Majority alliance. Science block. Unanimous alliance. Economic block. Unanimous alliance. Neutral block. Last. Executor Tharn held the final swing vote. He stood. Room silent. I do not trust them, he said. Honesty first. I do not understand them. Also honest. I do not like their scale, their psychology, or their normalization of danger. Truth again. Pause. But, he finished, the galaxy is not obligated to be comfortable. He cast alliance. Unanimous threshold reached. Resolution locked. History pivoted quietly, as it always does. Chancellor Halvern recorded the formal declaration. Humanity recognized as defensive partner civilization. Tier 1. Highest trust classification. Never granted before. Transmission sent to Resolute. Ward read it once. Exhaled slowly. Copy, she said. No cheer. No celebration. Just acknowledgement. Professionals accept outcomes. They don't dramatize them. Torres glanced over. They chose us, he said. Ward shook her head. No, she replied. They chose reality. Council closing statement entered the record. We ally not because they are safe, but because they are careful with their danger. Outside, human patrol lines did not change formation, because they had never been there to conquer, only to watch, and answer calls for help, even mistaken ones. The Alliance Treaty was only 11 hours old when the first real test arrived. It did not come with a warning speech. It came with silence. 3 outer mining worlds stopped transmitting at the same time. No distress calls. No reactor flares. No debris fields. Just gone quiet. Frontier silence was never natural. Confederate Sector Command flagged it routine at first. Then human perimeter monitors flagged it critical. Captain Elena Ward received the alert while reviewing colony corridor charts. She read the pattern once and stood. Not an outage, she said. Torres looked over. Agreed. Extraction signature. He didn't argue. Joint Command Channel opened. First use under new treaty. Chancellor Halvern appeared, still in formal chamber robes. We lost 3 worlds, he said. We need assessment. Ward answered immediately. You didn't lose them yet. That word, yet, snapped attention across every screen. What do you see? Admiral Varix asked. Ward pushed the data overlay. Microgravity distortions. Transit wake scars. Thermal hollows. Mass capture vessels, she said. Non-Confederate. Selric whispered. The perimeter threats. Yes, Ward confirmed. One slipped a lane. General Strave, still Alliance skeptic, demanded, Can we defeat them? Ward answered precisely. Yes. Not maybe. Not depends. Yes. Joint task force formed in 4 minutes. Confederate ships, nervous, disciplined. Human patrol group, already moving. No rally speeches. No formation ceremony, just vectors. Command structure? Varix asked. Ward replied. Split authority, human tactical. Confederate space control. Respect embedded in structure. Trust reinforced by design. Transit to the first silent world took 30 minutes. Too long for comfort. Too fast for hope. Sensors painted the truth as they arrived. Orbit full of ships that were not ships. Organic hulls. Segmented spines. Captured tendrils. Population transports. Already loading. Selric's voice trembled. Those are Harvest-class biocarriers. Ward nodded once. Confirmed. Confederate captains waited for human fleet formation. Instead, humans broke formation. Small units. Fast arcs. Vector unpredictability. Strave snapped. They're disorganized. Torres replied calmly. They're flexible. Rules of engagement. Ward transmitted fleet-wide. Priority, population recovery. Secondary, carrier disable. Tertiary, destruction only if needed. Rescue first doctrine. Again, enemy vessels reacted, late. They were not used to interception. Human ships dove through debris and captured nets like predators through brush. Close range. Kinetic fire. Precision hull punctures. Not core strikes. Confederate gunners watched targeting feeds in disbelief. They're carving doors, one whispered. Boarding corridors created at combat speed. Joint teams deploy. Ward ordered. Confederate Marines hesitated half a second. Human Marines did not. They launched. That half second became legend later. Boarding combat footage spread across Alliance channels. Humans moved under fire, not around it. Shield first. Civilian first. Return fire second. One Confederate officer said afterward. They advanced like they already accepted the risk. Because they had. Inside the carrier holds. Horror. Captured civilians. Stasis racks. Extraction cages. Human Marines cut power grids instead of shooting through rooms. Darkness favored trained rescuers, not captors. Why kill lights? Varix asked on command link. Ward answered. Our troops train blind. Advantage. Chosen, not given. Enemy resistance collapsed in sections, not all. One carrier attempted jump escape, loaded with civilians. Confederate weapons locked, but blast radius would kill thousands. Command froze. Ward did not. Engine pin strike, she ordered. Torres executed a fractional second firing solution. 3 microslugs. 1 coil rupture. Jump drive dead. Carrier saved. Probability success. Absurd. Result. Exact. Strave whispered. They gamble. Selric corrected. They calculate courage. Medical ships arrived before salvage craft. Human triage teams treated Confederate civilians first. Enemy prisoners second. Order intentional. Message sent. Confederate rescue officer asked a human medic, why treat attackers? The medic answered while sealing a wound, so they can choose differently later. Doctrine lived, not spoken. Battle ended in 42 minutes. 3 worlds, not lost. 2 carriers captured. 1 destroyed after civilian evacuation. Casualties, far below projection, because humans prioritize people, not victory metrics. After-action silence felt different than before. Not shock, understanding. Joint Command reconvened. Strave spoke first. Changed tone. I withdraw my incompatibility objection. No pride loss. Only fact update. Rare and respected. Halvin addressed Ward directly. Captain, today you fought for us before we could fight for ourselves. Ward shook her head. No, she said. Today we fought where danger was. Not ownership. Responsibility. Confederate news nets replayed one clip endlessly. A human Marine carrying 2 alien children under fire. Shield on back, weapon down. Moving forward anyway. Public opinion pivoted permanently. Trust is built visually. Varix recorded the official battle conclusion. Human forces do not arrive to win battles. They arrive to end danger. Out beyond the frontier, perimeter watch lines tightened. Because now the alliance mattered. Not politically. Practically. Victory did not bring trust. It brought attention. across the wider interstellar networks beyond Confederate space. The rescue operation spread fast. Combat footage, boarding cams, civilian recoveries. Headline translations varied by culture. New guardian species appears. Kinetic warships rewrite fleet combat. Humans disable, don't destroy. Praise came first. Suspicion followed faster. Power without domination confused too many political models, which meant someone decided to test it. The incident began at Relay Station Orpheus, a disputed monitoring hub near a trade fracture zone. Distress beacon activated. Civilian signatures present. Weapon fire detected. Hostage markers broadcast. Priority code, multi-species emergency. The closest heavy responder, a human patrol cruiser. Captain Ward read the alert and frowned. Signal layering is wrong, she said. Torres checked. Agreed. Too clean. Too centered. Real panic is messy, Ward replied. Confederate Liaison Command join channel. Recommend delay, one official said. Could be provocation. Ward asked one question. Are there actually civilians aboard? Scan says yes. Then we go. What the Council did not know. 3 rival powers had coordinated the scenario, not to cause massacre, to force escalation, to see if humans would overreach jurisdiction or apply overwhelming force indiscriminately. Measurement by provocation. Common tactic. Rarely ethical. As Resolute approached, the station opened fire first. Low-yield warning shots. Close passes. Target paint. Bridge crew waited for return fire authorization. Ward held up 2 fingers. Not yet. Confederate observers watched in disbelief. You are under attack, Varric said. Yes, Ward answered calmly. And you are not responding. Not until intent is confirmed. Second volley, closer. Armor scoring. Still, no return fire. Strave, observing remotely, muttered, They're being baited. Selric answered, Yes, and they know it. Ward switched tactics. Open broadcast channel. Video on. Station command. This is Human Navy Cruiser Resolute. We are here to extract civilians and depart. We will not fire unless fired upon with lethal intent. Transparency as shield. Unexpected move. Test planners adjusted. Escalated. They deployed contracted raiders, real ones, to complicate the simulation. Control slipped. Now it was not a test. It was danger. New ships jumped in. Weapons hot. Not part of the script. Torres swore softly. Now it's real. Ward nodded. Confirmed hostile signatures. Engage raiders only. Station defenses remain non-lethal targets. Split fire doctrine. Hard mode combat. Battle geometry turned chaotic. Raiders firing wild. Station guns firing panicked. Humans firing selective. Precision cost time. Time costs armor. Human ships took hits they could have avoided with wider kill zones. They chose narrower ones. Observers noticed. Boarding alerts triggered. Raiders breached civilian decks. Ward made the call instantly. Human boarding teams deploy. Jurisdiction violation technically. Life preservation practically. History favors the second. Close quarters footage later became training doctrine across 3 civilizations. Humans using stun bursts where lethal shots were easier, shielding non-combatants with their own bodies, dragging wounded defenders, not just their own, to safety. One station guard later testified, They covered us like we were theirs. That sentence changed diplomatic posture across a sector. Test coordinators attempted final escalation lever. Hostage shield corridor. Raiders hiding behind civilians. Clean kill shots available. Ward refused them. Instead, she vented the corridor atmosphere in controlled bursts, enough to disable exposed raiders, not enough to harm sealed civilians. Engineering over execution. Harder, slower, cleaner. Station secured. Raiders neutralized. Civilians safe. Test planners silent. Their scenario had produced the opposite result. Restraint. Under provocation. Under ambiguity. Under risk. Measured. Repeated. Reliable. Council inquiry open immediately. Did you know this was a test? Halvern asked. Ward answered. Yes. And you still entered. Yes. Why? Because fake emergencies and real emergencies look identical to victims. No counterargument existed. Executive Tharn, former skeptic, recorded the moral classification update. Human escalation threshold, high. Human restraint threshold, higher. Rare trait pairing, strategically priceless. Galaxy reaction shifted. Again, fear dropped. Respect rose. New military term entered interspecies doctrine manuals. Human line rule, overwhelming force available, deliberately limited. Private call later. Selric to Ward. You passed their trap, she said. Ward shook her head. No, she replied. We kept our rule, which is never become the threat you're trying to stop. Out beyond the relay station, human patrol vectors resumed their quiet arcs. No victory broadcast. No reputation campaign. Restraint does not advertise itself. It repeats itself. The next attack did not look like war. That was why it worked. At first, no invasion fleets, no border clashes, no territorial claims, just disappearing populations. Frontier colony after frontier colony went dark, not destroyed, not burned, emptied, cities intact, power grids running, orbitals untouched, people gone. Confederate Command classified it as phantom piracy. Human Perimeter Command classified it differently. Extraction pattern. Ward said immediately. Torres overlaid timing intervals across the star map. Strike windows formed a rhythm. Not chaos. Supply chain harvesting. They're not conquering, he said. They're collecting. The word chilled every command channel. Emergency Alliance Command convened. Loss projections climbed faster than fleets could redeploy. Traditional doctrine failed instantly. Defense works when enemies want territory. These enemies wanted inventory. What is interception probability? Halvern asked. Current, 21%. Confederate Analytics replied. Ward shook her head. Lower. Why? Because you're defending locations. They're targeting timing. Different game. Wrong rulebook. What's your model? Strave demanded. Ward answered without hesitation. Raise capture cost above yield. Blank looks followed. Torres translated. Make every target dangerous to take. Human doctrine packet deployed alliance-wide. Layered civilian defense. Hidden evac tunnels. False population signatures. Thermal decoys. Delayed beacon traps. Micromine nets. Rapid response rescue teams embedded pre-strike. Infrastructure became defense. Defense became ambush. Some Confederate leaders objected. You're militarizing civilian zones. Ward replied evenly. The attackers already did. Debate ended. Reality wins arguments. First trap colony activated within one cycle. Extraction ships arrived expecting another silent harvest. Instead, Ghost City. Population signatures. Fake. When capture craft ascended, beacon flares ignited. Human strike wings jumped inside the flare window. Reverse ambush. Short. Violent. Precise. Extraction ship disabled. Not destroyed. Holds recovered. Enemy adapted. Heavier escorts. Humans adapted faster. Stop defending farms. Ward ordered. Hit their staging nodes. We don't know staging nodes, Varric said. Ward shared a predictive logistics map. Built from interval math, not spy data. Trade route modeling repurposed for war. Merchant science weaponized. First staging hub strike succeeded. Enemies shocked. For the first time, hunters were found before feeding. Psychological advantage flipped. Battle footage confused Confederate tacticians. Humans did not hold lines. They held layers. Small rotating units. Constant pressure. No fixed front. When they lose formation, Strave observed, they advance instead of retreat. Torres answered, chaos favors a practice. Casualty tolerance difference became visible. Human units took losses, did not stall. Replacement teams rotated forward instantly. Morale curve remained stable. Confederate analysts struggled to model it. Why does cohesion not collapse under loss? Selrick asked. Ward answered, because loss is expected, not denied. Expectation stabilizes shock. Hard truth. Critical engagement occurred at Carrier Spine 12. Extraction dread carrier preparing mass jump. Holds full of civilians. Alliance weapons had firing solutions. Blast radius unacceptable. Command hesitated. Ward didn't. Coil pin strike. Stagger timing 3-round sequence. Torres executed. Mathematically absurd. Operationally perfect. Jump drive died. Carrier captured. Lives saved. Success probability was 8%. Strave said afterward. Ward shrugged. Higher than 0. Human risk math differs. Medical doctrine again reshaped battlefield psychology. Human medics treated rescued civilians first. Enemy wounded second. Same triage scale. Enemy surrender rates rose measurably after that. Compassion altered combat behavior. Unexpected lever. Effective lever. Enemy retreat signals intercepted later. Avoid human sectors. Rescue fleets present. Capture cost too high. Cost curve broken. War model failed. Alliance war report classification updated. Conflict type, population extraction suppression. Primary tactical innovator. Human forces. First-time non-founding species credited with doctrine rewrite. Historic. Quietly historic. After final major interception, Halvern contacted Ward. You change how we fight, he said. Ward shook her head. No, she replied. We change what winning means. And what is winning? Getting people back. Frontier worlds relit, not untouched, but not erased. Difference measured in millions of lives. Varix entered the closing line into military archives. Humans do not optimize for victory. They optimize for survivors. Beyond the perimeter, hostile traffic shifted away from Alliance space, not because humans destroyed them all, because humans made predation inefficient. That is how real deterrence works. War did not end with conquest. It ended with math and mercy. Very human combination. The war report was only 3 words long. Threat contained, civilians recovered, no victory parade, no conquest declaration, no triumph broadcast, just survivors returning home. That was the human version of success. Across Confederate worlds, something unusual happened. Children who had been taken came back alive. Families who expected memorials received reunions. Cities prepared for grief received landing clearances. The emotional shockwave was larger than any military engagement because rescue changes history more than revenge ever does. Supreme Chancellor Halvern addressed a full galactic assembly for the first time since the crisis began. Attendance was mandatory. Every member world connected. Every fleet command listening. Every civilian channel open. No classified layer. Transparency was intentional. Halvern stood silently for several seconds before speaking. We were wrong, he said. Not dramatic. Not defensive. Simple. Accurate. We believed power meant dominance. We believed security meant control. We believed strength meant larger fleets and heavier weapons. Pause. We were incomplete. Visuals shifted behind him. Battle footage, rescue footage, medical footage. Human ships cutting through hostile formations, then opening bays full of evacuees. Human medics treating strangers. Human crews rebuilding disabled Confederate ships they themselves had disarmed weeks earlier. Context changed perception. We met a species we feared, Halvern continued, because they were stronger than us. Another pause. We now respect them because they're stronger for others. Difference recorded. Difference remembered. Alliance Charter Amendment passed within the hour. Human forces granted autonomous defensive authority in outer sectors. Unanimous vote. Even former opponents approved. Fear turned to trust, backed by evidence. Admiral Varix met Captain Ward one final time aboard the Indomitable. No ceremony. No media. Just professionals. You could have ruled us, Varix said. Ward answered instantly. We don't rule neighbors. Why not? Neighbors become enemies when ruled. Simple rule. Learned the hard way. Long ago. Somewhere else, Confederate doctrine schools began teaching a new mandatory course: human engagement strategy. Key lessons: do not measure intent by weapon size. Rescue capability predicts alliance reliability. Logistics wins longer than firepower. Morale beats symmetry. Compassion alters surrender probability. War colleges resisted at first. Data removed resistance. Civilian reaction spread faster than policy. Human colony worlds filled rapidly, not because of protection, because of reputation. Trade routes preferred human patrol zones. Insurance markets reclassified human space as ultra-secure. Economics confirmed what fleets learned. A final intelligence briefing reached Halvern. Outer hostile clusters have shifted migration vectors. The analyst said. Why? He asked. Human rescue response presence. He nodded slowly. Predators avoid witnesses, he said. Accurate again. Dr. Selrick published a psychological conclusion that entered every academy archive. The most dangerous ally is not the one who destroys enemies fastest. It is the one who refuses to abandon the vulnerable. Citation index exploded. Children across multiple species started playing a new strategy game. Not conquest, not empire building. Rescue simulation. Human crews always chosen first. Symbolic adoption complete. Final assembly resolution declared. Humanity. Designated protector-class civilization. First title of its kind. Not conqueror, not hegemon, not superior. Protector. Word selection mattered. At the closing session, Halvern delivered the line later engraved in the Alliance Hall. Power that seeks control creates fear. Power that chooses restraint creates loyalty. Below it, smaller text. First observed in human contact. Captain Ward received the news while reviewing patrol routes. Her response was short. Add 2 more rescue ships to rotation, she told operations. Recognition did not change behavior. Duty continued. That impressed analysts more than the title. Commander Torres asked quietly later, Do you think they understand us now? Ward looked at the star map. Enough, she said. Enough is all alliances need. The Indomitable resumed patrol. No fanfare. No escort. Just quiet movement along the dark edge where threats lived, where they always lived, where someone always had to stand watch. Confederate observation logs recorded a final note. Red alert, status retired. Human patrol, status reassuring. Language evolution complete. Galactic historians would later summarize the event in one sentence. The day fear met responsibility and chose to trust it. Stars remained dangerous, but no longer unguarded, and for the first time in recorded history, most civilizations slept better, knowing humans were awake.